Good morning, guys. It's Whitaker here from Grind City Media, and I got to make breakfast. I found the easiest recipe to make fresh baked bagels. It's not traditional, but literally 2 ingredients. We're gonna knock out some fresh baked bagels for breakfast. They're gonna be awesome. I'm gonna do it. You can do it. This is Cooking with Lang. Let's go. Today we are making bagels. I love bagels, but to make them the proper way, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. When I wake up in the morning and everybody's hungry, people want food on the table, I don't have time to make the dough, to boil them to get the right seal on the outside, then to cook them. This recipe I found online uses literally 2 ingredients, and they're pretty good. We're gonna start with some yogurt, and we're gonna use some self-rising flour, and that's it. That's all you use. Put them together. Somehow it sort of creates that same texture of the bagels that you buy in the shops, but these are gonna be pretty good. Yogurt. I got fat-free yogurt. You can use full-fat yogurt if you want, but I use the Greek yogurt because I like the flavor it has. So I got 2 of these containers of it. Save the container because we're basically gonna use equal parts yogurt and flour. I assume this is about 1.5 cups, 2 cups, something like that. But yogurt goes in first. And you don't have to be perfect with this recipe. It's basically equal parts, but the word basically gives you some wiggle room. So I'm gonna measure about 1. And you know, it's not gonna be exact. 2. Now we're gonna mix them up. The thing about baking is that normally you have to be really precise with it. I'm not a precise person, that's why I'm not much of a baker. I'm usually just better at cooking stuff. This recipe has a little bit of wiggle room, like I said. The self-rising flour is used here because it's sort of a hack. It already has a leavening agent in it. It already has some salt in it, so it's seasoned. It's gonna rise on its own. All we gotta do is mix it up now with the yogurt. And I think it's gonna be fine with this amount. I keep the flour around just in case you need a little extra flour, but should be fine. I'm just gonna bring this together until it's sort of, you see it's kind of getting into like this shaggy form. And I'm just kind of pushing it with this spoon until it gets to a point where I can lay it out here on the counter and use my hands on it. Okay, it's coming together. You can see it's kind of becoming a solid mass. And once it reaches this point, I'm gonna turn it out here on the counter. Shake out the extra flour so it doesn't stick. And now, I'm gonna dip my hand in this flour so it doesn't stick to my hands. And I'm gonna use my hands to kind of roll this out a little bit more. It's cold because the yogurt was so cold. But and you see how quickly we made a dough that looks like a traditional dough. Even though there's no egg, there's no water, there's none of that other stuff that you normally use to make a dough. I've been kneading this for maybe 60 seconds, not 5 minutes or anything like that. Just enough time where it comes together. I put a little flour on there when it feels too sticky and it's sticking to my hands, but it's at a great point right now. So what I'm gonna do is roll it into kind of a log shape. And then it's gonna be ready to make into bagels. We have these pieces of the dough now that are, I don't know, about the size of 2 inches this way, 2 inches that way. I'm gonna make them into a ball shape. Kind of pat that down. I take my finger, dip it in the flour. Finger goes right in the middle. And then you spin it. And there's your bagel. So I put them on this sheet pan here. You can tell I know what I'm doing because it's a professional baking mat. Clearly I'm a professional baker with a professional bake. I bought that thing 10 years ago. You can see it still works. You could also just use a sheet of parchment paper or whatever so it doesn't stick, or just put some cooking spray on there so you're your bagels don't stick. But I'm gonna finish out these bagels and get them all laid out here, and then we're gonna be ready to go. Got all the bagels laid out here. Last thing we're gonna do is put some toppings on the bagels. And look, they're not perfect. That's why this is so much fun to do. Like, we're not trying to knock out completely identical bagels. Do the best you can. It's breakfast. People just want something to eat, and something hot out of the oven is gonna be great. So on top of these bagels, to get the topping to stick, there's 1 egg in this little ramekin that I whipped with a fork. And then you're just gonna lightly brush these guys so that whatever you put on top is gonna stick. And then as far as what you wanna put on top, there's sort of limitless options. You could do sesame seeds. I've got some everything bagel seasoning that you can buy at lots of different places. My wife likes the chopped garlic. My son asked specifically for salt on his bagel. He likes the smoked sea salt with the big flakes, kind of crunchy. So you can do whatever you want. Do them plain if you want to. But I like having a couple different options. This is the everything bagel seasoning. And just sprinkle it on there as best you can. It's gonna make a little mess, no one cares. Oven's at 375, ready to go. These are going in. I'm gonna set my alarm on my phone for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're gonna spin them around, and at the very end, we're gonna jack up the temperature to make sure they get nice and brown on top. But first of all, 10 minutes, 375, let's go. It's been 10 minutes. I'm gonna flip this thing around to make sure they cook evenly. They smell great. They're starting to rise, you can see. Now, last thing I'm gonna do, 5 minutes, 375. After 5 minutes, I'm gonna turn the heat up to 425 for the final 5 minutes to make sure they get brown and nice and crusty on the top. That's it. Bagels are done. They did 20 minutes in the oven. 15 minutes was at about 375, and then the last 5 minutes I cranked it up to 425. They got a nice brown color on the top. You can see they rose because of the leavening agent, the self-rising flour. So they're bigger than they were. The holes kind of filled in, actually, on some of them. But this is what we're going for. Right now they're hot and they're fresh, and I'm gonna cut one open. Let's do this one. And see how they're looking on the inside. It's hot. Kind of perfect. Looks like a bagel. So I'm gonna cut this guy all the way in half and put it on this plate and just let it kind of cool off a second before I eat this thing and burn my mouth. Time to eat. I like cream cheese on my bagels, or butter's great on them too. This one is going to today's special guest, my son. Give it a shot, give it a test for us. See what you think. Oh, 2 thumbs up. Yeah? That's good?
Wait, no.
What?
That means 3.
3. All right, nice job. We made bagels this morning. It was great. It's so easy, just 2 ingredients. You can make bagels too. This is Cooking with Lang. Let's make bagels. Come on, let's make some bagels.